Addington.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Infrastructure. Minister, you've not been clear whatsoever with the people of Ontario and the value of MaRS in that debacle. CBRE appraised Phase 2, if it was 100% leased, at $303 million. We know that it's not fully leased, and a building filled with bureaucrats is not worth as much as one filled with research scientists. That's because the rental rates for office space is $44 to $45 per square foot, and for research space, it's about $60 a foot. Minister, you've placed taxpayers at significant risk. Will you admit to this House, if Phase 2 is filled with bureaucrats, the value of the building will be 25% less than the appraised value?
Thank you. Minister of Economic Development, Employment and Infrastructure.
Speaker, I'm not really sure what the member is referring to when he says this government hasn't been clear when it comes to our way forward on this particular file. Speaker, we've released 700 pages of documents, Mr. Speaker, publicly so the member can have access to them. And in fact, we've offered to the committee the opportunity to see all of those documents with absolutely no redactions, Mr. Speaker. I think that's being pretty open. I think that's being transparent. I think that's being very clear. And we've also identified a path forward in seeking the best experts we can in our economy, Michael Nebrega and Carol Stevenson, as we move forward, Mr. Speaker. They've confirmed that the asset that we have lent money to MaRS Phase 2 for is worth more than the investment we've made, which means, Mr. Speaker, what the members just said is absolutely incorrect. I think, Mr. Speaker, what's unclear is the ability of the member to understand what a secured loan means.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Back to the expert panel response again. Minister, mankind has often wondered if there's intelligent life on Mars. Well, you've proven that there's not a Phase 2, or even in your ministry. Minister, let's recap the problem you've created for taxpayers. The value of the building is the land cost plus the leasing revenue. When the leasing rate drops, so does the revenue. When the revenue drops, so does the value of the building. When you go from charging $60 a square foot to $45 a square foot, the value drops by 25%. Simple. Minister, will you admit that you will not be able to recover the $405 million of taxpayers' money you've already sunk into MaRS Phase 2?
Thank you. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the member may want to insult my intelligence. Look, I'm just a kid from Scarborough. I don't pretend I'm the smartest guy here. But I think if there was a vote taken in the House, Mr. Speaker, that compares the intelligence quotas of these two members that are exchanging right now, I'm not sure, but I think I might just edge them out in that respect. But, Mr. Speaker, let me say this. I may not, but let me say this. What we're supporting here, Mr. Speaker, is a part of our economy that's extremely important. 50% of our life sciences economy in Canada is located right here in Ontario. In that building, Mr. Speaker, in and around that building, about 10% of the bioscience cluster is there. Mr. Speaker, this government stands by our bioscience cluster. This government's going to continue to make investments that are going to grow innovation in this province. The party opposite may want to, Mr. Speaker, not support those kind of approaches. That's up to them. We're building the next generation economy. We're creating jobs, and we're going to continue to make those important investments.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
There is no cluster there except the cluster of bureaucrats, Minister. Let's recap the story here. There never was a business case. The private sector won't rent there. The banks and the investors won't touch MaRS 2. It's like an empty Taj Mahal, but full of bureaucrats, not tourists. ARE got a $65 million bailout. The taxpayer loan, $224 million. Then the taxpayer's on the hook for another $106 million in interest costs. And MaRS gets a free building that the taxpayer fills up and pays rent on. Minister, your responses have been lubricious, at least to this House. And this expert panel, I can't imagine that it was hired for anything other than to camouflage the slippery language that's been going on here. Will their report be transparent about the obvious facts? Or will that expert panel simply shield you from further accountability to this House?
Thank you. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the member's information is simply incorrect as usual, and I think what I want to do, Mr. Speaker, in responding is to suggest that what is his alternative? What's his party's alternative? Because from what he's saying, that party would have just let MaRS Phase 2 rot in the ground. Mr. Speaker, that would have been irresponsible. So what we've done, Mr. Speaker, is we've made some important investments to ensure that this project could continue. We've taken the best advice from Michael Nabrega and Carol Stevenson to make sure we're moving forward in a way that's responsible to taxpayers, in a way that's responsible to our commitment, Mr. Speaker, to create jobs in this province. We're looking to further advice, Mr. Speaker, from those individuals, which we should receive very soon. And then we're looking to move forward, Mr. Speaker, on a project that had challenges, but, Mr. Speaker, challenges that we're going to fix to ensure that this project has a positive future.
Thank you.
That, Mr. Speaker, is leadership.
Thank you.